Hey everybody, Richard S. back with another edition of the Take 5 series. This one's a good one. I got to thinking about this, and it seems like it's a recurring theme across different channels that I watch. What is a band or album that you were late to the game getting into? Think about it for a minute, and I'll start with my first one. First band that came to my mind was Wire. I was into Wire in the mid to late 80s when the album A Bell Is a Cup came out. There was a song called Eardrum Buzz, and I loved it on MTV. But they're going backtrack some of their older albums, like Pink Flag, which was their debut album. This took me a long time. I didn't get into this until the late 90s, maybe early 2000s too. This is a 2018 reissue. Super edgy art punk, kind of anxious feeling. The amazing thing about this album is 21 songs on one album, 36 minutes long. So they're they hit hard, they hit fast, but they did an amazing job. This is a fantastic album, as are some of their other albums. Cheers Missing and 154 are great albums too. So Wire was a band that came to mind. Another one was Jefferson Airplane. And I was really a big fan of Jefferson Starship in the 80s, going late 70s, all of the 80s. I loved the Starship output because I loved the guitars, and the songs were fun and they were pretty radio friendly. But I never went backwards for the longest time to get into seeing what Jefferson Airplane was all about. Um, and so, it took a while, and I finally discovered the worst of Jefferson Airplane. This is a really interesting early edition. The big gatefold. Can't really tell if it's a first generation, but it's in beautiful condition. I bought this a few years ago, so it's taken me that long to get back and go back in history with Jefferson Airplane. I guess my problem with Jefferson Airplane is that I was like one when Airplane formed, so kind of understanding the history of what was going on at the time in the world and kind of why Jefferson Airplane exists, from a musical history standpoint and a social, sociological standpoint, why Jefferson Airplane was as big as they were. Love Grace Slick's vocals. I still have some of her solo works. So, yeah, Jefferson Airplane's another band I was really late to the game on. Another band was Galaxy 500. Emma kind of reminded me of this album the other day when she was from 8 by the Low, when she was talking, she was going to go see, what's his name? Dean Wareham. The same night she was seeing Bob Mould. On Fire is an interesting album. Galaxy 500 is an interesting band. They're described as like lo-fi psychedelic, and reviewing this to prepare for this video, one of the things that strikes me is they kind of sound like REM if a young Neil Young was the singer. His voice is really Dean Wareham's voice is really keening, and the U.S. press kind of panned this album because it's like, well, his voice is a little bit too weird. That's not a good reason. This is a beautiful album. It's solid from start to finish. So not only was I late to Galaxy 500, I think I bought all three of their albums in rapid succession after I picked this one up because I liked it so much. Also in the 80s, I was really into The Cure. I remember hearing some of the songs from The Head and the Door on MTV's 120 Minutes and went, wow, this is fantastic stuff. So I started getting into The Cure, and I bought Head in the Door and Disintegration and Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. It was one of my first CDs I ever bought. But then I'm going backwards to discover their older material. I had Standing on the Beach cassette. I wish I still had that because it had all the B-sides on the other side. So good. Never got into pornography until later, metaphorically speaking. Uh, Pornography is an amazing album, but it is the darker side of The Cure. Um, it was their fourth album, so and what I was reading about, it's like this is when they kind of stopped doing the dark, gloomy goth Cure to become the more radio friendly, um, melodic Cure. But a beautiful album, but a bit grim. It's pretty good though. You should check it out. One more. I blame the vinyls community for this one. When I started watching a lot of the live streams and um, watching videos, this album came up a lot. I liked Bruce Springsteen back in his earlier days and Born to Run and Born in the USA and the Big Live Box. I had all of those. But then I kind of lost, not to say lost interest, my musical taste changed. So I didn't pick this album up until last week. I had streamed it, kind of looking around. It's like, so what is it about Bruce Springsteen, Nebraska that everyone's like, this is my favorite Bruce Springsteen album? Now I know why. I like Tunnel of Love. I think I like this one better than Tunnel of Love. Where Tunnel of Love was my favorite Bruce Springsteen album, I think this one is now. Beautiful songs, big, open, storytelling, sprawling fields of words and vision. It's a beautiful, beautiful, well done album. I find it interesting that I think one of the reasons I never picked this up back in the day was that initially critics were not too keen on this album because they were like, well, where's the E Street Band? If it had the E Street Band on, this would be such a great album. Maybe, but I doubt it. This is like Bruce with a guitar telling you stories, and it is a fantastic album. So, my question for you is, what are some bands or albums that you were really late to the game to? Comment, like, subscribe. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.